Welcome to this case study with Monick Halm. I am the founder of WINC, if you don't know me already, and I am here with Monick Halm, who is the founder of Real Estate Investor Goddesses. So without further ado, we are so excited to have you here, Monick. Thank you for making time. I know how full your business is and how full your family is, and so it really is meaningful to have you here.
Thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be here. And as we were saying before you hit record, you and Wink have had such a monumental impact on my business. I'm really excited to be here, and hopefully, if any woman listening can be inspired similarly. If we could do that, that would be just amazing.
Well, from what I know about you, Monick, you're literally a walking inspiration. So I have no doubt that the women here are going to be extremely inspired by your story. So let's start from the beginning. Tell us how you got into real estate and what that journey was like.
Okay. I'll talk about how I got into real estate and then how I got into real estate investor goss as this business that uh, you and Wink were so instrumental in helping me really get off the ground. So with real estate investing, I got in completely by accident. I was taught as a kid that you should, you go to school, you do well, you go to college, you go to grad school, and you become a doctor, lawyer, professor, engineer. Like that was that was a pinnacle. That's what you were meant to do. Um, and so of those choices, I chose law. I became a lawyer. Really miserable as a lawyer, but that's a whole other story. And the only thing I'd been taught about real estate investing was that you should, or real estate at all, not even investing, was to buy your own house. And I went to do that. And this was in 2005, towards the top of the last bubble. And I live in Los Angeles. Even 15 years ago, a starter house in a semi decent neighborhood was upwards of $600,000, $700,000. And I could not afford that by myself, even though I had a decent salary as an attorney. And a friend of mine who was in a similar position suggested that we buy a duplex together. Original idea would be that we'd each buy a property with two equal sides and take a side. And since I could afford half a house, I was like, okay, yeah, let's do that. But instead of finding a house with two equal sides, we ended up finding this beautiful old craftsman that had a bigger downstairs and a smaller two-bedroom unit upstairs and a converted garage that was another one bedroom in the back. And we ended up taking a bedroom in the bigger unit, renting out the upstairs, renting out the back house, even renting out our basement, and we were house hacking before I knew that was a thing. Just became an accidental landlord and realized, wait, these people are paying my mortgage. This is awesome. I still didn't think about it as a way to escape law. Even though I was really miserable, I still wasn't thinking about this as a possibility to live off of. When I met my husband, though, he had a duplex, and then we got a single family rental together. After the market crashed, we ended up selling one of the duplexes, flipping houses when houses were on sale, and then discovered eventually in 2016 syndication, bringing groups of investors together, and started to do that and really scaled and grew our business a lot. Now at this point, we have over 1,300 rental doors in different asset classes across 9 states. And it's pretty crazy and insane and amazing. And Real Estate Investor Goddesses was born as when we started getting into syndication, bringing groups of investors together. It was something I had to really learn how to do. And so we were starting to have investors give us money. There are a lot of laws and rules and regulations around it. And I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to lose anyone's money. It was really important that we do this right. So we went to different trainings and as I was going to different real estate things, I would look around. I went to one, and there was a it was about 120 people there, and maybe 8 of us were women, and I think 2 were working there in the back. And then the other, it was just there were so few women. The nice thing is the women's room line was always really easy. That's like the one place you'd go. It's like, oh well, that's nice because there's a line for the men's room, it's never for the ladies' room. But otherwise, it was just like there were none of us here, and I and it actually came as this divine download. It was in the hotel gym after the morning after one of these conferences. And I was just thinking about, I was on the elliptical and I was thinking about that room, and also one of the trainers had said, you want to build your brand, build your business. Think about who do you want to work with? I'm sitting there going, and it came as this divine download. It's like, I want to work with women. I want to bring women into this room. I want to work with them. And at Real Estate Investor Gossip and my mission to help 1 million women create financial freedom, that came to me. Not the how. I'm still figuring out the how. I still don't really know the how of that, but the what of it came just like this divine download. And everything, I got chills, and everything just felt like the angels started to sing, and this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to bring women in here. Also, before that, in between being to doing the syndication, and between being a lawyer and doing what I'm the real estate full time, I became a coach, and I was already coaching women around money and abundance. And and I realized that real estate was definitely one of the best ways to create long lasting wealth in this country, and women are so well suited for it. It's flexible. We can do it as busy women, as moms, but nobody was telling us about this. It was a series of accidents that got me into real estate, and I didn't want I didn't want other women to have to accidentally find it, because they weren't. There's so few of them there, and I wanted to invite them into this game, show them that it's possible for them. And like you said, you have this goal to help women in abundance for themselves and their families, and I do too. And also because I know, and I know you believe this too, that when women have more time and money, they give back. They give back to their families, they give back to their communities, they give back to the world. And the world needs us now more than ever to be able to do that. And we have big, big problems in our world to deal with. And we need women that have the bandwidth, who aren't worried about keeping a roof over, keeping a roof overhead or food on the table, and the money is no longer the worry, so that they can put their time, their energy into sharing their gifts with the world. So that's why I wanted to bring women into this game, and that was the genesis of Real Estate Investor Goddesses, the idea. And then there is, the idea, and then there's actually doing the business of business. And that's where WINC came in.
Oh my God, totally. Monique, I relate so deeply. It's like when WINC showed up, she was a full download. She told me exactly who she was and what she wanted to do and how I was going to help her and what we were going to, like, the whole mission. But the how was not in her wheelhouse to describe.
No.
So it was a couple years of groping around in the dark, trying to figure out how to do this really clear mission that came through. And I love that we share that, and I'm sure there are so many other women listening who have had that experience or having that experience right now. So yeah, what was that like for you? So you get the download, and now it's time to execute on it, and what happened?
Yeah, so I spent a couple years floundering in the dark until I found you and your flashlight, going here, this way, or your lighthouse, and that really, really helped, because we're not born knowing how to do the business. Some people are born entrepreneurs, right? Some people that's just that they're born. And I have a friend. She's like in middle school, she was selling things and making money. She's always an entrepreneur. I was not that person. I was the studious one that went to school, and that was not the I was not a born entrepreneur, but the download came, and real estate investor goddesses like with Wink. I mean, it was so clear. Like, this is what. Well, for me, it was more. I got the message. This is your mission. Should you choose to to accept it, right? Like, this is your mission. And I went, okay, because this mission feels really good to me. I'll do it. But I don't know how. So just bring, and I was like, well, keep bringing the right people. And you came as part of that prayer.
Mm.
And actually, I was so grateful I won a scholarship to do your program. And it was an answered prayer, because I'm not sure how to do this. Just, God, send the people. And then I think I got an email or saw something on Facebook, and there it was. And I went, okay, this is it. And then I applied, you selected me for that scholarship, and I was like, thanks God. Okay. So this is so, it was so meant to be. And coming in, so I'd been trying to figure it out by myself, spending a lot of time doing a lot of things that don't move the needle very far, right? So a lot of things you hear that you should do, right? You should be doing all the social media, and you need the perfect website, and you need all of. So I was doing a lot. I was very busy with very little results, but I was spending a lot of energy. I was putting a lot of energy into it, very little outflow. I think the previous year before I did WINC's program, maybe I had $16,000 of income. Maybe, yeah.
Which actually is really good for a first year. Like, it doesn't amount to much. It doesn't go very far.
No, it does not. It felt like a very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
So that was
Right. Because you
not,
probably spent more than that.
yeah.
Certainly in time.
It was not heartening. It was not heartening, I have to say. And I was like, am I really supposed to even be doing this? Because it's like nothing's going on, nothing's happening. And then I found you, and I joined Wink, and you provided a framework. You provided a system, and I was a good student, so I just did what you said. and and I great. I was doing one-on-one with Elizabeth at the time. So I had a lot of support in the program, because there was the 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 pods, and then the coaching. And with that support, I built my offerings in a way that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I developed it, and I put it out there, and I started doing the right actions. I wasn't just doing busy work, I was doing things that moved the needle and actually got people in. And I ended up also doing an event where I sold my program that I developed with Wink. And in that one weekend, I made $123,000 and went from, became a, six-figure business overnight. And it's grown since there. And had felt really magical and really powerful. And what I learned from you, I still use in terms of, okay, like putting my time in the right places, and keeping an eye on the numbers in a way that makes sense, and just how you structure things so that you're able to, you're not just trading your one-on-one time, but you have something that's you can leverage And all of that has been so deeply, deeply valuable.
Wow, Monique, it's amazing. I've never heard you share your story until this moment, and there's so many pieces I want to dive deeper into. First and foremost, I'm so touched. I think you may have been our first WINC scholarship, our first level 1 scholarship ever. If not the first, then in that first couple. And it's really moving to me the way that we were an answer to your prayer. And in a way, you are an answer to ours too. For every woman that we work with is an answer to our prayer as well. But because us helping you in your business has had such monumental impacts, not only on you and your family financially, but all of the women that you're helping, it was like, that's our prayer in our business as well, is how to make sure that women have safety and security and comfort in order to take care of themselves and give back. And so I'm really touched right now, feeling like the symbiotic relationship that we have together. It's really sweet.
Getting emotional.
I know, I am too. I'm kind of teary.
Me too. I'm like, I'm getting a little verklempt here.
Reminder, at least for us, this is a spiritual process. Whatever spirit means to you, or whatever religious beliefs one has, and it's not required to work with us, but we really experience this whole thing as a spiritual process along the way. And I just feel that alive here now in our story together.
Yeah, well, I called you in, or you called me in, or whatever, but it was felt very divinely inspired, for sure. For me, you were, like I said, an answered prayer.
Yeah, likewise. And I'm just so oh my gosh, I remember for WINC the first time because I had a similar journey. It took me 2 years to figure out what WINC sold, basically. What was the thing that was going to help the women that I wanted to work with. And the first time I sold the 90-day program, and all of a sudden WINC was a real business, it was truly one of the happiest moments of my life. And I can only imagine what it was like for you the day that you went from making $16,000 for a year to making $123,000 in a day. Did you just fall off your chair?
I did. And it was so funny because I was on stage giving my offer, and I did it. And you know how they talk about, sometimes they'll put people I've heard that they'll put people in the room to run to the back to make it seem like there's this rush. So because at the upper level, I was only giving 5 one-on-one spots with me, because I just didn't have the time to do a lot. But literally, I said it, and people got up and started running to the back of the room with checkbooks. I was on stage, answer, and I'm just like, what is happening? They were literally got up and started to run to the back. And I was almost speechless. I was like, this is an actual thing. This is a thing. People are running to the back of the room. It's so crazy. And so gratifying. It's so amazing. And it it felt really magical and surreal at the same time.
Wow, it's so incredible. That must have been such an amazing moment, Monique.
It was. I was just I was like, I swear I did not plant anybody. It's just they got up and they started to run. And I went, maybe I was too cheap. Anyway, but I was like, I should have raised my rates, which I did a lot, but it was very cheap that first year.
Yeah. Well, you got a demand signal, is what I call it. You got a demand signal.
Yes. There was obviously, the value was very clearly there. So
I'm curious if this will resonate with you, because after working with, 500 women in our 90-day program, I have a lot of pattern recognition. And so everyone's totally unique, but I also like see these really clear patterns and archetypes. And so I see you in a particular archetype that I'm going to describe, and I want to see if it feels true to you. Mm-hmm. It's an archetype of a woman who she is actually really gifted at marketing. She doesn't necessarily know that, but she's actually really quite good at marketing. There's not a lot of emotional stuff in the way of her putting herself out there, even though it's scary and even though it's intense and even though there's a whole learning curve. It's like there actually isn't a large amount of trauma to putting herself out there. So she actually can do that quite early on in her business. Plus, she's doing a business that she has a lot of expertise in. It's not like she just graduated from school and this is the first time she's doing something. She's actually kind of standing on years, if not decades, of a developed expertise. And now she's translating it into a business. So these two things, and she tends to be a go-getter, meaning that she's not afraid to work. But the missing piece is that she's basically spraying and praying in a whole bunch of directions. Like her actions are like, she takes a lot of action, but she has a lot of confidence, but she doesn't have a way she doesn't understand quite yet how to systematically and strategically take actions in these and understand how her business works. So she will likely have results over time, but it's it takes a lot longer doing it that way. And what we notice is when that kind of combination of things is present for a woman, we kind of come in, we show her the systems and the strategies. She's good at taking what she learns and implementing them. And it's like a wildfire, like ignites pretty quickly because she's able partly to answer for one of the often the big missing pieces is like, what is the specifics of what you sell and to who? And then gives her the tools to be strategic about her marketing rather than kind of spraying and praying. Does that resonate with you?
I think that resonates. Yeah. I was willing to go out there. I don't know about how gifted I was in marketing, but I was willing to try everything. But I was trying everything, and it was like, it's a very diffuse energy that did not have much return. And what I got from you guys was this system to direct that energy and focus on it. Yeah. I also did, I don't know about sales. I did have a lot of stuff around sales. I did a different training, but what really changed the game for me was not making it about me and realizing that I was just trying to like be a servant to other people. Mm-hmm. and give a solution. And if it was a fit, then it was a fit. And if not, that's okay. But just went from, oh, they're going to buy from me to I'm going to serve. I'm going to give what I know might help somebody. And I just want them to see that if it can help them.
Yeah.
And when I switched into not being about me, but being about them, then that became easy. So I can do sales very easily now.
Totally. And I don't know if this is where you got it, but we spend a lot of time in the WINC program getting really clear about who it is a woman can help.
Yeah.
And it's not vague. It's like, it has to be real specific, and it's a whole journey to get that specificity. And then there's a whole journey in learning how to articulate how one can actually help someone.
That was very helpful.
Yeah. And when that happens, it's almost like magic. It's like, oh, now you know who you're talking to. And you know exactly what they're experiencing and exactly how you can be a solution to that, and you can articulate it to them. So it's like, it doesn't matter if 9 people out of 10 are a no to that. if you walked around on the street, 9 out of 10 people would be a no to that. But that one person who like you understand their experience and then you can articulate exactly how you're going to help them, it is a game changer. It makes the sales process so simple because you're just telling them how you can help.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's me and I want that. And I'm going to now run to the back of the room.
Yeah. I think you also helped me in thinking about reverse engineering what from like a webinar perspective or the sales presentation.
Yeah.
To reverse engineer like what I'm offering to, and then use that to market it. And that
right.
was
It's
super
a
helpful.
part of where it's not random throwing things in a dozen directions. It's like we live in this world where it's like all this free content. And a lot of businesses either never really work very well financially, or there's just the owners are so burnt out because they're actually providing all of this free content all of the time that doesn't have that many results. But what you're speaking to is like a long conversation, but the reverse engineering process means that you understand why you're giving away certain free content that's very valuable, but it actually is relevant to your marketing and sales process. So it actually leads to sales in your business rather than just being endlessly working on free content all the time.
Yeah. This is what I was doing before.
Right. Right.
Oh, I have to do more blog posts, more videos, and more like this and more that. It's just this random giving of free content.
Totally. Social media and LinkedIn and blog posts and emails. And it's just like, oh my gosh, it's a recipe for, I think, burning out and hating our business and not making that much money.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, Monique. It's such an incredible journey. So there's two things I want to ask you specifically, because a lot of the women that, we support in our community, we have, for example, we train them around their 6 barriers to wealth that we've seen across women. And I'm curious, in retrospect, now looking back, was there a specific barrier to wealth that really you see now as like, that was the biggest barrier for me in my business?
I think one of the barriers was like you were saying, I did not have a system. I did not have a structure. I didn't have a framework, and I really needed that. So I was wasting a lot of time and energy, just trying to, I guess, in terms of building my business, and I think that ultimately too, I had another barrier. The deeper down, there was this. It was an imposter syndrome. Like, am I actually like why me? Do I really know enough? Have I really done enough? Am I really enough? Maybe they'll see that really I don't know what I'm doing, and I know I've had some results, but really kind of lucky or this, this that imposter syndrome that was there.
That is such a big one. I'm kind of chuckling a little because it's like, I don't know if there's anybody who doesn't have the imposter syndrome, but it's a really big one, right? And when I was first starting WINC, it was like, I felt really like I felt in my bones and in my cells that there was this integration happening between all of like my core strengths were all like coming into alignment, like my life experiences and my strengths. And I had this feeling that I was going to be really good at helping women build their businesses. But I'd never actually done it before. So I often find that there is this tricky difference between having a belief in ourselves that is like self-confidence that is earned because we have a lot of experience in something, and then just this emotional place of feeling like, are we good enough or are we not good enough? And I think all of us have that concern of like, are we good enough? Are we not good enough? And when you combine that with doing something that you've never done before and literally don't have any experience doing, it's like a hot mess. right? Because you had years of experience in real estate, years and years and years. But you'd never actually taught other women how to do it until you were teaching other women how to do it for the first time.
Yeah.
So it's this tricky place where you had like a lot of experience and you didn't have a lot of experience at this new piece. Does that resonate?
Yeah, for sure.
And what helped you get through that imposter syndrome?
Just taking the steps, and then having a supportive community like you've created, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having other women also going through it, seeing their results and okay, well, if they can do it, maybe I can do it too. And then just in having these cheerleaders and confidants and
Mm-hmm.
people, this just a sisterhood
Mm-hmm.
of support. I think
Mm-hmm.
that really makes such a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I was inspired by the WINC sisterhood and creating the Real Estate Investor Goddesses sisterhood. And I also have, this really that sisterhood aspect because it is so valuable when you are getting outside of your comfort level, which, you know, definitely the women in WINC are doing as they're building their businesses, and the women in my group are doing as they're creating real estate investing businesses and they're starting to invest in real estate. That having that sisterhood, that community behind makes such a big difference. And being able to say when it's like, God, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't, and then just going, oh yeah, I felt that way too, but you've got this. All right, having that somebody there to say that makes a huge difference.
Oh, it's so big. It's so big. And it's like on some days it's me telling you, you've got this, like keep going. And like the next week you show up to circle and it's like I'm in the dumps and you're telling me you've got this. Like it's so powerful. It can
It
sometimes
is.
make all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of all the difference in the world, tell me more about your work. For those women who are listening, let's open up the conversation around like, why does it matter so much for you to see women create multiple income streams and, invest in real estate?
Yeah. So, I mean, this particular time that we find ourselves in right now has been bringing this home so much for me. I didn't share a part of my story. And when I was pregnant with my daughter, I was 5.5 months pregnant. And I was still working as a lawyer at the time, and for the small firm. My boss at the time called me into his office. I was expecting a bonus. 'Cause I've been working really hard. Instead, I got fired, and it was like son of a like this was really it was like the week my belly popped out. Like up until that moment, I was like, gosh, I wish my belly would pop out so I'd finally look pregnant instead of just fat. And then that week, I was like, finally, I look pregnant. And then I got fired. I was like, damn, I look pregnant. Who's gonna hire me right now? And I decided, look, I look so pregnant. This is not a good time to be looking for a job. I'm just going to wait until after I give birth and I have a short maternity period, and then I will look for a job. So my daughter was born in late August of 2008. Within a month, the economy was in free fall. Then a couple months after that, my husband's graphic design business was down 90%. It was a very, really, really hard time for us. And we barely made it because of the couple real estate properties we had at the time. Those helped keep a roof over our heads. We sold one, we lost one, we sold one, we started to flip. That got us back on our feet. And this time around, it feels so different because we have all these multiple income streams and different ways that the money is coming in, and I feel like we've created crisis-proof finances finally, and there's this security that leads to freedom. And I feel that so much right now when somebody is reliant on one income source and that income source disappears because life happens. So there's a divorce, it's a death, it's an illness, it's a global pandemic. um, then just having that one source makes you so vulnerable. And it is very possible to get into real estate and start creating multiple sources of income, which just provides like each source, I feel like it's another leg on under this table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you you can you can like lose a leg and you're fine, you're very stable. But if you only have one leg, you lose that leg, you're down. Uh, and so I think for women, having those extra sources for it's security, but and then I believe that it also well let me talk a little bit more about the security. We have so it's wonderful that we're building businesses too, that this is what you show people who are I don't know if people are familiar with the cash flow quadrant. So it's like different sources of income. Most of us are taught to be employees, right? So we trade our time for money, or then maybe you go into self-employment. You're still trading your time for money, but you're your own boss. And on the other side is where you have leveraged time. So when you have a business, when you have employees, then they're working and you can still make money of a system, something that is apart from you. And then you have investments and your money is off making you money. You want to get from just being an employee and self-employed to having a business and having investments. What's nice about real estate is that it's a business and an investment. It's both. You can create it so it's both. And that being able to then not just have multiple income streams, but multiple income streams that are divorced from your time, where you don't have to trade your time and something can happen to you, whether you're sleeping or doing another job or on vacation or whatever, the money still comes in. That is financial freedom. That is true wealth when you have money and time.
Mm-hmm.
And for women, we get, especially when because our time is locked in with our money, and we have to take off time to give birth. And there's that mommy tax, right? And then we're already docked because we tend to be paid less for the same amount of work, and uh, that knocks against us. We have an income issue, but an income gap, right? That they talk about the gender income gap. Fewer people talk about the gender wealth gap, but it's actually much bigger problem. So if we make 77 cents or so for every dollar a man makes. So for every dollar of net worth, and net worth is what you own minus what you owe. For every dollar of net worth that a single man has, a single woman only has 23 cents. And it gets even worse when you factor in race. So I think for a single white man makes $1, a single white woman is about 50 cents. A single Black or Latina woman, guess how much they have?
5 cents, 8 cents.
Less than a penny.
Wow.
Less than a penny. Many have a negative net worth. Even
Yeah.
when they go to college, they come out with all this debt and they end up with a negative net worth. And real estate for millennia has been the best way to build, grow, um, and leave wealth. And when you can help a woman build wealth, right? If you help a man build wealth, become a millionaire, you'll help him for his lifetime. You help a woman, you're helping at least 3 generations.
Why is that?
I I don't know the why we're wired differently, but this is what they've shown. Just when women have extra, they're going to invest it in their kids,
Mm-hmm.
and they bring along their communities and their friends. So they invest it in their kids, show their kids how to build wealth, who then invest it in their kids, show them how to build wealth. So when you're helping a woman, you're helping multiple generations.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. It's along the lines of the research that has shown that $1 in the hands of a woman will likely be spent on health, food, and education of her children. And $1 in the hands of a man, especially in developing economies, that same dollar is more likely to be spent on alcohol, cigarettes, and prostitution. I think there is a lot to that story, some of which, women are so wired to, support their children. It's clear. But I also think there's another layer to that story that it is worth a really deep consideration around the level of trauma that men have also experienced, and the level of self-medicating that they're doing, and the level of disconnect that is happening for so many of our brothers around the world,
Yeah.
that is causing them to self-medicate. So I think there's a lot there. But yes, the data is very clear, regardless of what the cause and effects are, that money in the hands of a woman has really big ripple impacts. Often she can change her whole community in one, not change her whole community, but she impacts, money in the hands of women in a low income community changes the community in one generation because of how much she invests in the opportunity of her kids.
And she brings others along with her too.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, helping women is my shortcut to help the world, because I know that she's gonna bring around her kids, but she's also gonna bring her men along, and her mamas and her sisters and
her
brothers and
neighbors
her cousins and the neighbors and her besties
and the animals. And the plants are coming along.
Yeah, everyone comes along. So she's got more. She's gonna bring everybody with her.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, I'm going to help women because I don't care about men. I'm going to help women because I know they'll bring their men with them, and they'll help everybody if I can help women. That's my shortcut to changing the world.
So good, Monique. So good. So for those women who are listening, tell me if this is accurate, because one part of your business is helping women learn how to invest in real estate. Mm-hmm. And there's a program that you work with women, like a programmatic offering that you do that with. Mm-hmm. And then you also have big real estate deals that you vet and invite, appropriate investors to invest in as passive income. Is that right? There's sort of two categories.
Yep.
Yeah.
So great. Two separate businesses, but yes, they're connected but separate. Yeah.
Great. So I want to talk about the programmatic one in a moment, but I just want to say personally, on this front of, investing as women and really what it means to grow our assets and to grow our net worth, and to diversify, right, with multiple income streams. And your story of being pregnant and fired and then economic crash happening, my version of that was my dad dying when I was a teenager. And it happened very suddenly, and he was the breadwinner of our family. And fascinatingly enough, my mom only had me as a single child, as an only child, because she, chicken or egg, who knows if she created it a little bit out of her fear or if she was just really intuitive of what was going to come in her life. But she felt like she couldn't take more care of more than one child if anything ever happened. And so she chose to only have one. And in the end, something did really happen. And that experience of having the financial rug sort of ripped out from under my family was so impactful. We all have our stories of trauma, little T trauma, big T trauma. And I certainly don't feel like I win the prize on having the most trauma by any means, but that was a very traumatic event. And it's caused me, it's like really the reason that I work with women around money and building businesses is to help them become resilient to not having that financial rug ripped out from underneath of them. And so it's like, what does it mean to create security, and what does it mean to create wealth? And they're similar, but they're also different. And I think with multiple income streams, it's partly growing wealth and abundance and getting to do the things that we love and having time freedom, but it's also a source of resilience in the face of adversity. And for me, both have been really important. And so back to your one part of your business, Elizabeth and I have been business partners. I started WINC, 9 years ago, and she came in like 3 or 4 years ago. And part of our partnership is to build a business. Like that's part where we're generating money together. But we really turned the corner about a year ago and we said, what if we look at our partnership as bigger than just building a business? What if we look at our partnership as our partnership being the entirety of our financial life and strategy? And how can we be partners in investing in the growth of our net worth and our assets beyond just the business? And so one of the things that we have done is we came in together as investors in one of your syndicated deals, which means that we, among many other people, brought money as an investment. And so we are currently one of your passive real estate investors and, receiving the benefit of that, not only every month, but ultimately in the next few years, there's likely to be a pretty large payoff in the end. And one of the things that was really cool, Monick, for me is that I'm kind of obsessed with real estate, actually. It's a bona fide obsession. The amount of time I spend researching real estate and crunching numbers around properties it would be, at this point, it would probably be better if I had an hourly rate. But
well, you're preaching to the choir, but
yeah,
real estate obsessed.
Totally. So it was interesting, right around the time that we decided to do a syndicated deal with you, I was crunching numbers on a lot of different multifamily investment properties. I really wanted to take the next step in a multifamily unit and have, looking for positive cash flow on that. If all of this is running over your head, ladies who are listening, just make sure you listen long enough that I give you Monique's freebie so you can start learning what all of these terms mean. It's worth it. I'd almost go so far to say as it's essential. When I was looking, at least in the market that I was looking at, and I felt comfortable in my knowledge of that market, I could not come up with a rate of return that was better, that was equal to or better than in a deal that I eventually did with you, where I made just as much, if not more money, and I don't have to do anything. Like, I don't have to rent it. I don't have to fix the sink. I don't have to, find a handyman. Like, none of the things that go along with managing the property. I literally just get the passive income. And so I think that's a really big piece of what you're helping women discover in this process.
Yeah, I get really excited to be able to offer these things because a lot of people think, oh, to be a real estate investor, I'm going to have to find a property, fix it up, put in a tenant, get middle of the night calls about toilets, deal with termites, fix it like the trash. God forbid I ever have to evict somebody. And so there are all of these things that you think that you need to do in order to invest in real estate. And it can feel very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Or not, you're excited about it, but then when you look at the numbers, it doesn't, depending on where you're investing, it doesn't always pencil out. But what I found is with a lot of these bigger deals, because we have these economies of scale and we're able to leverage, and I can help women get into these opportunities that are often quite lucrative,
Mm-hmm.
but completely passive.
Mm-hmm.
And because we're doing the work, and because they're big deals with very sophisticated players and team members, it often works out better
Mm-hmm.
or at least as well as it could when people are actually self-investing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing, Monique. It's amazing.
yeah.
So I want to be sensitive to your time. You've spent so much time with us already, and I want to make sure women know how to find you. So you offer a freebie, which is really, I love this, and I can't imagine why anyone wouldn't jump on this immediately. Tell us about one of the free ways that you help women just start to get to know you and educate them on how you can help them.
Well, I have a guide called Investing in Real Estate from $1 to $1 million, investing strategies for every budget and every goddess. And I wrote this because I know there were so many women that are like, "Oh yeah, that sounds really great. That sounds good if I had like $100,000 sitting in the bank, then I'd invest." And that's why I created something where actually a lot of the strategies I talk about are $0, they're very minimal. So you can know how do you get in the game
Mm-hmm.
with if money is limited, or how do you get in the game if you'd like to do it but you don't have a lot of time. So what are passive investing strategies like the one Micah was talking about, or or the ones where you are interested but you don't want to deal with the tenants, toilets, termites. You're like, I like the idea of the money. I don't like the idea of being a landlord. But there are ways you can do it. There are a lot of different ways to play in the real estate game. So I share 12 strategies, 12 of the most common strategies, and from all different price points and all different ways of investing. So you should definitely check that out. And there's a free electronic download on my website. And I think you'll share the link.
Yes,
Yeah.
amazing. Will you speak it also in case anyone wants to go there right now?
Okay, so go to reigoddesses.com. That's my website. So if you go to reigoddesses.com, right on the front page, you are going to see that there. And if you are interested in getting finding out about these passive investing opportunities that Micah was talking about, in the on the menu bar you'll see a link for Investor Club. So you'll join our Investor Club. It's no cost to join us. It will just allow us to get into into a conversation and a relationship where you'll be eligible to find out about these types of opportunities.
Amazing, Monique. Amazing. Well, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
You had a six-figure business like in a single day at a single event. You now have a multi six-figure business. You're looking at hitting $500,000 this year, as far as I understand. It's so inspiring for all of us. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and we can't wait to keep watching all that you do to help women create passive income and change their whole financial future for them and their entire community.
Thanks, Micah. Thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure. Thank you. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you for more of our case studies coming soon. Thanks, ladies.
Listen to your heart and follow. Listen to your heart and follow. Listen to your heart and follow the sound of love coming through. What would that sound do for you? For you. Listen to your heart and follow.